All right, and welcome to Bleav in Chargers. Here we go, Lo. Our friends at FanDuel, they're still with us.
They're
We
still
did it
there.
last week, and they're still with us this week, which means we're doing something right. We're awfully excited. I'll tell you who's doing something right is the Chargers. We already talked about the Hall of Fame game. We did the last show on
Yeah.
Friday on August 1st. So, again, a reminder, a huge thank you to our friends at FanDuel so we can keep this thing going and moving forward. For those of you that are watching on FanDuel TV, stoked to be back on FanDuel TV as well. So we got the visual component on the television. We, of course, have the digital component. You can procure the podcast wherever you prefer and however you are consuming Bleav in Chargers. A salute to you and a thank you to you because without you, this thing doesn't keep going. And with you, we're growing and the Chargers are growing as well, Lo. It's been a great week. And boy, we had some big breaking news on Tuesday afternoon, I should say, about Keenan Allen. And it's something that, man, I feel like we have talked about here
Yeah.
since Keenan Allen was traded to the Bears about his return. And now we got it.
Yeah, that was just unbelievable. I mean, because you think about it, usually players that had their tenure at an organization, and just goes to show you that he left the Chargers with class, didn't badmouth, appreciated all the time that he has here with the Chargers, and now he goes to Chicago. Things don't work out, and here this guy is, the ageless wonder, Keenan, back in the Chargers as a Charger, as a receiver, as a veteran receiver. I think when you think about what he brings to the table, he and Ladd, you got two guys that can work the middle, catch anything that you throw at them. I just think that this is a big time move for the Chargers to go out and get Keenan.
Yeah, you talk about his history, and I think that's kind of the big question, right? It's like how far are we from prime Keenan? I think if you just look historically in the league, you're talking about once you hit kind of 28, 29 at that position, you're kind of starting to get into a little bit of a decline. But just the way Keenan's game is, the way he plays, the releases, the route running, the precision, and all of that, it ages a lot better. And
Right.
so, while I don't necessarily think we're going to get, 105 catch, 1,200 yard Keenan Allen, I think there's still, he needs 52, I think, 52 receptions to break Gatesy's all time receptions record. And I think that's achievable. I certainly think 50 plus, I think 650, 750 plus. And of course, we know how great he's been in the red zone. Even though he's never been a huge, like double digit touchdown guy, there's always been that dependability in some of those, goal to go situations when the yardage has been short, where there's that implicit trust between Herbert and Keenan. And that's what you're at. And I'll just add this, Lo, because I just pulled it up from our friends over at FanDuel. I don't know if they posted this before or after, but I think this is current. You got over 3650 and a half yards for Herbert, under 4,000, not even 3,700
Wow.
yards, and you just added Keenan Allen to Ladd McConkey, to Tyler Conklin, to Omarion Hampton, who's a pass catching back. So I think at minus 114 either way, over or under. I'm going to lean to the over on that one on 3650 and a half for old Herbo. But again, just to continue the conversation
Right.
about Keenan, getting that steady vet, that experience in that wide receiver room, I think was much needed.
What did it come down to? Mike Williams, we know we retired, and unfortunately retired. He just, seen better days. Didn't want to do it, but he felt it was time. What do you think this was about? Because when you think about what Hunter and some of these young receivers and showing that they're, hey, rising up to the occasion, what do you think was that moment that Harbaugh and this staff said, hey, look, let's go and bring in Keenan?
Yeah, I want to make sure I kind of say this right. I think when you watch, but I've been going to training camp almost every day,
Sure.
and I think what you see is a ton of talent. But Ladd's been out now. He has said it's very minor, that if it were the season, he'd be playing on Sunday. But he's been out for a few days in a row. So you got that. You got Jalen Reagor, who's been out for over a week now. You've got Quentin, who's playing great, having another great camp, tracking the ball much better over his shoulder. We heard Greg Roman say that he envisions Q more as an X, and he's thinking about Trey and KLS is that Z, that's just an easier place to bring a rookie along to get them started as opposed to moving them all over the different wide receiver positions. But I think in what I see from Trey Harris and KLS, but really kind of is, hey, so like here's a perfect example. Sunday, Trey Harris had an incredible practice, incredible, catching everything, contested catches, crossers, posts, beautiful catch in the end zone. Might have been on Saturday, one of those 2 days. He had like a very Keenan Allen-esque found the window between the help in the corner and Herbert anticipation throw right to. And then Monday, got a few drops out there, got a few concentration issues. And so I think what we've been talking about, Chiefs in Brazil, Raiders Monday Night Football, Broncos home opener, it's like you don't want to be figuring out if these rookies are ready to go. You know, it took till late October for Ladd to get rolling. So I think it's one of those, hey man, we got Chiefs, Raiders, Broncos to start this thing. We're gonna need certainty. You know, we need certainty out there. And we know we got certainty with Ladd and Keenan, and we think we have certainty with Q. So let's go out there with, I know these guys are going, if they're on that field, I know exactly what I'm going to get, as opposed to, hey, these rookies have really flashed in training camp. Let's hope they're ready to go in Brazil against the Chiefs.
No, exactly. Do you think some of it has to do too, like you said, you're alluding to, is the competition? If your competition wasn't this fierce and you said, okay, this division, these guys can grow, but you hear what everyone's talking about Denver, saying Denver may have overtaken Kansas City. Some thinks that Denver is a Super Bowl caliber team. It's just interesting that you're starting to hear so much things about, Bo Nix and what the Denver Broncos and Peyton. And, it's so you're hearing this stuff on the street. And this is maybe one of those things also that just say, hey, these teams out here that we're playing, they're going to be tough. So we better go out here and bring in a guy like Keenan that, like you said, that is steady Eddie, that is ready for the moment. And that can play at any, that can play. The game's not going to get too big for him. And yes, these young guys can come in and make plays, but you just wanted that consistency.
Yeah, I think so much of it is when you just look at the room. There's Ladd was, again, I thought Ladd was Pro Bowl caliber receiver last year, 1,200 yards and 200 while being triple teamed in a playoff game. Like that's I Bleav he is a legitimate number one receiver.
Sure.
He's still in his second year. I mean, he's still in his second year. Q in his third year is still trying to kind of get himself squared away and settled. And, we're still trying to stack seasons here for Q as opposed to him being that veteran voice. And I think when you're looking at Jalen Reagor, that's someone who has, he's on his fourth team with the Chargers. That, was the pick before Justin Jefferson. That's always going to follow him around. And I think, it's just, that's why they signed Mike. Let's get that veteran presence that we know what Mike Williams is. We know exactly when he goes on that football field, we know exactly what it is, and what he's going to bring. And I think you looked at that room and you're like, well, we can't put this much on Ladd again, man. Like that you cannot have, 10 targets per game and Ladd getting cracked over the middle of the field, 7, 8 times every single game for 17 weeks. So that's kind of the one interesting thing, right? Is like Mike fit perfectly because what's Mike? Mike's go and win those 50-50 balls. And let's open this up for Q and Ladd underneath. So I think to me, the signing with Keenan now, it falls more on Greg Roman. I think a lot of this is going to be on Greg Roman for, okay, you've got a guy who the last 2 seasons has been in the slot between 60 and 70% in Keenan. And we know that no one was more productive out of the slot than Ladd, except for CeeDee Lamb in the NFL last year. So how are you going to reconcile, those two guys doing their best work from that position, from the slot receiver position on the field? And I'm anxious to see, does it mean, and Lo, you can speak to this and how much sense, is Keenan taking reps from Tyler Conklin, where they're running him as like a tight end, and that and you've got both of them in the slot on either side. So I think, so to me, that's where this thing goes, right? It's how is Greg Roman going to make this work?
Yeah, you put 4 wides, like you said, you understand you have a rookie tight end that's going to make plays, but now you go with 4 wides and go, 13 personnel, whatever personnel, go 11 personnel with 3-4 wides. And now you do put Keenan and Ladd in both slots on each side. So you have those guys go out and create those mismatches, and then you have some speed and other things on the outside. I think that's what you would have to look to do just until, to the rookies, until the younger guys get their sure footing. So if that's the case, what do you look at Keenan? Is this a guy you think that's a starter? Is he a guy that you think, oh, he's going to play 30 plays a game? What is his pitch count? Because we know Keenan, has been injured prone and things have happened, especially a hamstring. Those things are nagging always. So how do you think they're going to employ him, and what's the usage of Keenan?
It's a great question. I mean, look, I think he clearly is a starter. I think he's one of, if you're talking about the three, I think is it Q at the X, Ladd at the Z, Keenan in the slot? I think that's probably the most natural, and you're just getting, you're getting Ladd on the move, is probably what I see. Like last year, Keenan played 15 games. He had 121 targets. So he still was if you look at the year before, he had 13 games and 150 targets, 108 receptions. Year before that, 10, then 16, then 14, then 60. So he's been relatively healthy outside of that one season where he got banged up in 22 and he only played 10. And then we know toward the end of the year last year, got a little sideways on him.
Right.
And, I think he chose not to play in 23 because the wheels were coming off and it was getting so ugly with Staley and that whole thing. So, so I think in terms of health, he's been all right, but he's going to be 30. He's 33 years old. He just turned 33.
Right.
So you got to manage that.
You do.
And plus, the Chargers been practicing for 4 weeks now. They're in their 4th week. Like, what kind of shape is he in? How much work does he need to we've got a game in 4 weeks, right? September, it's September 5th. So is he going to be ramped up, ready to go, so that soft tissue stuff doesn't dog him? That's the other thing you got to make sure of. And I guess that's the good thing in terms of like, hey, signing Keenan versus signing a Gabe Davis or an Amari Cooper. Like, they've got to get their chemistry with Herbert, and they haven't been in camp. And are they ramped up and ready to go? Whereas Keenan, it's like, hey, we can just put him to the side, get him with Ben Herbert, and we know that he and Justin have this chemistry that they're just gonna, it's riding a bike, man. They're gonna get back on the field and they're gonna be fine with each other. But to me, I think it's, I mean, like, you tell me, like, when you were a rookie, Low, like, how ready were you to just go out there and play 60 minutes, however many minutes they needed from you? Like, did you feel like you were ready to just go out there and go?
I don't think any rookie really is. Yeah, you learn that you can do it. I think that you're like, okay, I'm put in this position. They want me to make plays. I'm going to make plays. But when you're a rookie, it's just a lot of things going on. Where to line up, who to block, how to block them, what's your technique, on snap count, moving, motions, adjustments. What do you got to do? Okay, here comes a blitz. Okay, bam, check Liz, check Ringo. What am I doing? Who am I pointing? Who's the point guy? Okay, if he points there, now I know I got a dual read. Now I got to Mike the Sam. And it's so many things that go through your mind as a back or as a rookie, that you're saying, I have to do my assignment, but also I have to be able to run the ball and be effective in anything you're doing. And so I think that's for receivers too. Okay, you got two to the side. Okay, one guy getting ready to come. So you got to break it off, side adjust, and you got to run hot. But then if the guard's not covered, he can pop out and grab that guy, but you think the guard is covered. And so now you side adjust, and the receiver, the quarterback's like, what are you doing? We had the guard uncovered. He's popping out and grabbing that nickel guy who is the will backer. So there is a lot that goes on, Money. You're talking about being a rookie. I know it's a little long-winded, but exactly.
No, it's what we want, Lo. Keep it going, baby.
It's tough. It going. It's tough. It really is.
Yeah, I think I think that's ultimately what I came to the conclusion. That's the conclusion where I ended up, is KLS has flashed. He looks like he is going to be active every single game day.
Yeah.
And I think you talk about Oronde Gadsden, and you just listen to the way that Greg Roman talked about him in the presser, like, oh yeah, he looks good, but let's get the pads on. Let's get some live reps and let's see. And he's like, tight end is really hard. You've got all the blocking assignments, and you're in both meetings for O-line and receivers, and you've got to get all that's just all. So it just kind of started. It kind of, as they had him out for the tryout, I was like, well, this is interesting, And then we had Justin Herbert's presser, where he was very non-committal. And when asked about Keenan, he kind of said, look, I love Keenan. We made sweet music together, but ask the front office. It's not a question for me. And that was odd. I was like, okay, that's sort of an interesting way to just ask the front office. Like if you're a quarterback and it's a wide receiver, like, dude, I completed 105 balls to Keenan, in 2022. Yeah, let's go, man. Or 2023, whatever it was. I think that's sort of what I was looking for. And when I didn't get it, I was like, okay, well, maybe it doesn't make sense. Maybe it stunts the growth of Ladd a little bit because he's not able to play in the slot as much. And that's really where he was at his best. Is Keenan the right vet for the room? I think he is. You listen to Josh Palmer talk about how he just shadowed Keenan, and Keenan worked with him all the time when he was a rookie. And so I was like, okay, so that leads me to think that he's the right vet, that he's the right guy for these young dudes, for Tre Harris, and I think you look at the way Tre Harris is built. He's built kind of similar to Keenan. Keenan was an outside receiver at Cal. He was their number one. He was their X. Like when he was drafted, remember he had that knee injury. That's why he slid to the third round. But he was an outside guy. He wasn't a slot guy at Cal. I mean, he was your legit number one outside one-on-one. I'm going to freaking wreck you in this game. And that's so.
What did the deal look like? What was the deal? Was it 1 year, $3-4 million? What?
8. It was 1 year, 8.25, I think.
Okay.
So yeah, so it's 1 year.
1 year.
It's 1 year, $8 million. I mean, they've got over $30 million to spend still. With the retirement of Mike and just the way that they've restructured. With the restructure of Slater with his extension. Yeah, they were over $30 million available. So it's 1 year, 8.25.
Yeah. And you Money, you and I both know that Harbaugh set this guy down as well as Ortiz and said, this is the future. We believe that we're Keenan Allen away. And I imagine Harbaugh said, Keenan, hey, come in here. Listen, we're one player away. You might be that player from getting where we need to be. Yeah. We are Super Bowl. We got Ladd. You know what he can do. And look, we're going to put him in the slot. We're going to go some 4 wides and put you in the slot on the other side and let Herbert just feast. But we're expecting your leadership. We're expecting you to get these young guys. Your job is, you brought in here, we're paying you this type of money. Your job is not about the ball. It's about getting these young guys ready to play. It's about stepping up big, staying healthy, because we're going to need you down the stretch, and we're going to need you early in this season to ride this storm. So we went out and made a huge financial investment in you. Yeah. So our best thing is to keep this guy healthy. And I think the biggest thing is, like you said, the leadership in getting these young guys ready to play and play at a high level.
How were you inactive for games when you were a rookie?
No, I was active. I was active, and then, I was always active. But I've seen guys that non-active, and it. Some guys, they grow off of it. They thrive on Saturday when the team leaves, they're out there running. They want the team when everyone shows up, they're out there doing the extra. You see guys that gravitated saying, okay, I'm not traveling. I'm not this. I'm going to make it better. And you see some guys, they go in a shell. Right. So it's going to be interesting to see, because all I'm saying is, who's getting cut now? You look at this.
That's why I'm asking, Lo, because I think when you figure, are they really going to have 6 receivers active on game day? No. For a team that wants to run the ball, for how, when I think about their rotations on defense, are they going to go 6 deep at defensive line? I think we're talking about, after watching that preseason game and practices, and Caleb Murphy probably making this team because he's a 4-core guy, and we haven't seen much from Kyle Kennard, on special team. You got to keep these guys active for special teams. And if Tre Harris isn't playing special teams, and if KLS is now flashing as that speed guy, is that who we're looking? So go through it, right? Q, Ladd, Keenan. We know those 3 are active. No question about Darius Davis. Unless someone's taken, that punt return, kick return duty away from him, and he's a Pro Bowl punt returner, all pro kick, unless someone's taken that away, he's going to be active. Special teams. And then KLS has been the guy that's been doing special teams. Tre Harris has not. So by signing Keenan, are you now playing this game of who's going to be active on Sundays? Is Tre Harris not going to be active? Are you stunting the growth of your second-year receiver? So that's something that and again, I think that a lot of that or is Oronde Gadsden the guy that's not active, and you're running Keenan in one of those tight end slots, and it's more the Will Dissly, or Tucker Fisk isn't active on game days, and Scott Matlock fills that role more as just kind of like that blocker that Tucker Fisk has been so good at in
I
those
think
jumbo packages.
I would assume, if you ask me, just listening to the way you said that, I think Gaston's the guy, the odd man out. You're tied in because he can't block on the line. He's got to be detached to have. So you look at what Keenan can do compared to coverages and reading certain things. So now when you're going 11 personnel with 4 wides and you have Keenan instead of and he's going to be active every now and then, but I think he's going to be the odd man, in my opinion. I think he'd be the odd man out because you got to have Will Dissly, you got to have block, you got to have Fisk. You're
Conklin.
going to come out there and you're going to go, jumbo personnel. You're going to go 22 package, and you're going to need some guys. And this is a great blocker. So I can see the latter of those, the way you laid that out. I was like, man, I was thinking, okay, what do you do? But then once you lay that out, I think the young tight end is going to, be inactive some weeks.
I think that's the one concern. But for me, more than anything, I think they just wanted a pro. It's like we need certainty. We've seen too much. We've seen too much variance. Not enough consistency, stacking days, day after day after day. From this particular group, and there's enough of a, and it goes back to what Harbaugh said, in that interview where, hey man, Justin Herbert's not the problem. We are. We've got to get on Justin's level. He's here, and the rest of us are here, and we're trying to get to a point where we know we can help him out. And I think that's where else is that, there's 2 positions where it's the most obvious, right? Offensive line and wide receiver, where he needs the most help. And I think that's probably what it came down to is we got to get him a pro. We got to get him consistency.
No question. That's a great place to kind of diver into that. You've seen, they make the center that, that Zion's not going to be the center. The offensive line can be a little shaky. And that, you said, hey, Justin Herbert is not the problem. We got to make sure our offensive line and our receivers know what they're doing, where to line up, who's coming, and seeing all the side adjustment. But now on the offensive line, when you think about that, you got to keep Justin upright. And, you went with the center that is going to be questionable. Is he strong enough? Is Zion? Is he going to get this together at guard?
Yeah, and he's not. I mean, exactly right, Lo. Like, that's the big question. Now that he made the announcement that it's going to be Bose at center and Zion at guard, what would you like? What's your takeaway from that? Like, what do you read it? You got a guy who was able to play 12 snaps in one game, and I think had 3 padded practices. That was his tryout, and they've already said it's going to be Bose.
Yeah, I'm kind of shocked. I thought they'd go a little longer with Zion at the center and just to say, hey, look, we got to work through this. Even though he's a starter at the guard, I'm letting him play a friggin' whole half every game. If that is a part of this team that you feel that is one of the weakest part of that question mark, why not give him these live bullets for a half all 4 preseason games? He knows how to play guard. He's going to get practice at guard. We understand that. But if that's the person issue, because your offensive line, yeah, you got 2 great tackles. You brought in 1 great guard, from Philadelphia. But it's you have 2 spots that's not athletic ability, and it could be above the shoulders with Zion.
Yeah.
As far as the consistency, he comes off great run blocker, but misses at times and whiffs, and not good with the switches and passing certain things off. That's a problem because, like you just alluded to, you're playing the Kansas City Chiefs, and last time look, they got a Hall of Famer in Jones up front. And last I looked, when you think about the next week when you're playing against a Denver Bronco team and you look at the Raiders and you think about what you're doing, you got to get this thing secured. And it starts, we always say, it starts up front in the trenches. Games are won and lost.
Yeah, it was an interesting approach this offseason and I know the market was crazy. The money that guards and centers, and there really wasn't, there wasn't anyone really available. You had Ryan Kelly, who was he was really the only viable center for run and gap, and power, which they ran. I think and he got, despite his age,
right,
his injuries, he got a mountain of cash from the Vikings, along with Will Fries, who I know they liked and they were interested in, and the 2 of them wanted to play together. And I think had there been a little bit more fiscal responsibility exercise, then it would have been a possibility. But I think they looked and they're like, man, this much money for this particular skill set and injury. Will Fries was on a broken leg all year last year and couldn't play. So it's like, that was just a lot to pump into that position. Now, that being said, they didn't invest in it in the draft. They took a tackle who missed a season that they're trying to convert to a guard, and Branson Taylor in the 6th round. So there wasn't any investment in the draft. And you just got the sense that it was like, I guess just to use the football, just like a Hail Mary. Like, well, hey, let's see if Zion can play center. And the funny thing about it is, I thought he looked pretty good. I know he had some snap issues, but like when I went back and watched the film, I'm like, oh yeah, he picked up a stunt. He was able to passed off a block perfectly, something that we saw was a huge issue all season long last year, and he was able to make that work. He had 2 snaps, one that was high and one that was botched at the goal there. That was a botched exchange. So yes, that was a concern, but that was kind of the funny part out of it. I thought that instead of Harbaugh saying, yeah, we're going to go with Bose and Zion's going to be our starting left guard, but competitors welcome, still a competition there, but that's what we're looking at as it stands right now. I had assumed it was going to be the opposite. I assumed he was going to say, look, we got to work through the snap issues, but man, thought he played well. Thought you saw his athleticism, run blocking good, pass blocking good, picked up that stunt, and we're excited. And it was the exact opposite. It was, that you've got now Andre James, I guess, as your 3rd stringer, or if Zion's the starting left guard, does Zion flip to center and then Sawyer comes in at left guard if Bose were to go down? If Zion goes down, does Bose shift the left guard, and Andre James comes to center, or is Sawyer in there? Like, it's to me, though, the one thing that you could point to and say, oh, this is a little weird, is that it's a Jim Harbaugh team who does nothing but preach offensive line. And if you watch that Houston game back, and it was an extension of things that we saw throughout the year, it's like, yeah, you got issues, man. You had issues at that point of pass protection all season long, and they're just going to kind of run it back.
Yeah, and that's the big issue, because you think about Kansas City, they're disruptive up front. You think about who won the Super Bowl last year. They won up front. Yeah. Those boys up front, when you can't double and you can't single guys, you can't block everyone double. When the Niners in their heyday, think about when they had Armstead, all those guys up front. It's those guys on that front line. When you have a bunch of boy dogs up front that can hunt, you better have an offensive line, guys that can at least win those one-on-one battles, because someone's going to have to double. And if you have now what you're looking at 2 guys that may need help, you can't ask your tackles that, and your center might need help. Your guards, you don't know what you're getting. You don't know if they're going to pass things off the right way. That's a problem, and that's a problem. Quarterback, when you get beat from the outside, say if a guy gets beat, a speed rusher, okay, bam. If I'm able to push him back around the quarterback, what does a quarterback do? Tom Brady did it the best. Yeah. They climb in the pocket. Yeah. You climb in the pocket. When your guy speed rushers come outside, if the tackles, just stayed on that track, and they get beat at that 6-yard mark, the quarterback just steps up. But if you're getting pushed in that center and that guard, now the quarterback can't step up and can't step up in that mesh point. So that's a problem to me, that you got to make sure that center guard, that is almost more important than the tackles in pass pro, because of the fact the quarterback can't climb up in the pocket.
And I'll say this, like the one thing, and again, it's a rookie, and we're projecting on a rookie, being able to make it, but we have seen rookie running backs make immediate impacts. And so to me, with Omarion Hampton, and I got it here on FanDuel right now. So Omarion is, let's see, Genty is the favorite, at plus 250. Cam Ward, understandable, right? Number 1 overall pick, quarterback. It's typically a quarterback award. If the quarterback's good enough, they're going to win the award. So Cam Ward is plus 300. And then next in line, pretty good value, considering we're still watching Najee walk around the field, in civvies and, not in pads, and still having that issue. Omarion Hampton at plus 850, just ahead of Travis Hunter at plus 1,100. Not bad.
Not bad at all.
Not bad at all. And we saw that in the Hall of Fame game with that one carry, that jump cut, that stiff arm, that 8-yard gain was pretty impressive. And that's what we've seen in training camp, and they got him out of there. So I'm anxious to see what it's going to look like against the Saints on Sunday, if he gets a little bit more run, or if it's going to be the same deal, just one series, get him out of there. Doesn't need to take any unnecessary hits. They know what they got from him. But plus 850, man, pretty sweet number.
If you go to
Yeah.
FanDuel and get that, because like you said, I don't think he's going to go more in the series. I don't give the guy more than 3 touches because he's got it.
Yeah.
And like you said,
You can see it.
your other running back, Najee's, you don't know what you're going to get. You don't know, when that eye is going to be completely healed. You got to have this young rookie. So at that price, I think I'm going to get on. I think I'm going to throw a little skin in the game. Throw a little skin in the game.
Yeah. I bring that up. I just happen to have it in my periphery here. I had FanDuel open. But I bring it up because let's not forget, like, Zion can block his tail off as a run blocker. He is a good run blocker. Bradley Bozeman is better going that way than going this way. I mean, way better. He is a way better run blocker than he is a pass protector. And now on the right side, we know that Rashawn Slater is one of the best run blocking, tackles in the league. And then on the other side now, you've got Mount Mackay and Joe Alt. You've got a combined 730 pounds of human, at 6'9" and 6'7", getting after it. So, like, that's going to help. Like, that's if you can get some defenses to be doing this and getting pushed back instead of leaning forward and pinning their ears back like Houston was that whole game because they did not honor the run game. They were not concerned with it in the least.
Right.
That's going to go a long way. So I think that's also important. Like, yes, is it doom and gloom? Like, I was just down earlier today. I like sharing it because I know how many people we have down south in North County that are listening. I was down in Oceanside a little bit earlier today with my buddy Heath hitting the Oside Pier and having some fun out there. It was pumping. Like that whole place at JS, that whole joint is all Charger fans. So Lauren and Tyler and Paul, they're just like peppering me with all these. But this goes, and I bring it up because you asked, like, the Keenan, what are they were so jazzed about Keenan. They were just like, oh, can you believe he's back? This is so good. I can't wait. Slayer's back. And it's like,
right.
When you have the issue, and I bring that up because I think there's some of that inside the Chargers. It's like, hey, yeah, okay, here's our issue. These 2 spots inside are a concern. So how do we do that? Keenan his releases are like this. So if that's an issue, we got a guy that's going to get open right away. And we got Ladd McConkey who's going to get open right away. And then you can get the running game going. Well, now play action's working. Like, I think it all fits together. That's what you're trying to do. Okay, is our offensive line, our tackles are great. Now we got to get our interior. We got one guard that we feel really good about if Mekhi Becton's healthy based on what we've seen last year with the Eagles. Can we get it to a point where all of this is complementary? A running back that we think has the ability to be the rookie of the year.
Right.
A wide receiver core now with Keenan who can win quick and get you those third downs and get you those wins that you need to have immediately off press coverage. Same thing with Ladd. Like, that's what I'm getting at with the Keenan signing, I think, is you're trying to complement the other pieces and maybe where you have some weaknesses.
And you will. And we're not being doom and gloom. It's just, hey, this is the obvious right now in the guard and center position. But like you just alluded to, when you can run the ball, you fix a lot of things. When you're in 3rd and 2, that's a lot different than being in 3rd and 5 and 3rd and 10, 3rd and forever. Because now teams can't pull, they can't bring the house. They got to sit back, 3rd and 2. You play press, man, you're going to get beat. You can run or pass. So it keeps the window open. You saw early last year when they played against the Steelers and with obvious passing downs and the inability to run the ball. When you're playing against great rushing teams on the road, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. If you can't run the ball on the road, if you're playing against a front 4 that can get after you, you have a problem on your hand, especially up front. So I think that's big, to being able to run the ball 1st or 2nd down, whatever it may be, but being 3rd and manageable. If the Chargers can do that, that hides a lot. That's what this team has to be. It has to be smart, has to be efficient, and has to win on those early downs, making sure they're in 3rd and 3 or less. And guess what? Now they're tough out. They're tough out and almost unbeatable.
Yeah, and that's what they had last year. They had way too many 3rd and longs. They were off schedule because the running game wasn't as effective as it needed to be. And like, look, JK would pop some, but I think on a down in, down out basis. And that's why when you look at the efficiency numbers, 3rd down efficiency was not great last year. And it was something that Herbert had always been great at in his career. And it wasn't there last year. Red zone was not great at all last year. And I think a lot of that was because you would get into these, you'd get into these goal-to-go situations from like 9 yards out, and you wouldn't get anything on first down, and now it's second and goal from the 8. Like, we had so many of those, and the metrics on red zone were not great. So, hey, I got to ask, Lo, because I just heard it again. And as somebody that has a certain history with these sort of things, I feel like I'm hearing a Zippo. Am I hearing the click of a Zippo? Is that something I'm hearing in my ears?
It might be a little Zippo. I don't know. I'm not sure we got a Zippo going.
Where are you right now?
You know what? I'm at Mons Pinos down here in Bakersfield, California, hanging out with the boys. We're having a little smoke. I got a little.
See, I knew it.
You got it right now.
I knew it. What are you smoking?
Little Davenol there. Little Davenol. Little dab. All right. Davenol. That's
do you light it with a Zippo? What do you light, or do you have one of them torches?
Do you know what? Did you do Zippo me? What'd you do? Did I just have a Zippo? Or you torch? He torched me. They torched me up, and after I get off this show, money, you're holding me up.
Light it up right now.
I gotta
right now.
I gotta finish this nice
Let's
dab.
go. Get that thing going right now, Lo. Let me see it. Let me get a look at how Lo light. Smoke that thing up, man.
I'm
Just
sitting
there.
fire.
I feel.
I gotta
give my man Lo some fire, for goodness sake.
Give me some fire, brother. Come on over here. My man. He said I can light it up, so
you can light it up. Man. Light it up. Go.
Here we go. Here we go.
That Zippo clicking in the background.
Yeah, I was like, "What is the Zippo?" Yeah.
There we go. Look at that.
Come on here. Come on, a little fire.
Lo getting after it. Is that the got a little blowtorch there? That's what we got going. Oh yeah, look at that.
Let me see my torch.
Let me tell you something, man. These kids these days, and I speak to you, and I'm saying that about you, Lo. They don't know, because they know they don't know what it was like to try to light a cigar with a match.
I know.
Trying to light a cigar with that Zippo and impress the ladies by snapping it and popping that thing.
See, you went old school. I was like the Zippo. I was like, man, I was like, yes.
I thought I heard it.
Yes,
I thought I heard a Zippo clicking in the background.
They're clicking back there. But man,
do you own this place? I see the helmets behind you.
No, this is in Bakersfield. They got Fresno State, all the high schools that are feeder into Fresno State. It's pretty cool how they got it set up. That they just say, Bulldog born, Bulldog bred. Going to be Bulldog to the day I'm dead.
Oh, here we go.
I'll give you a little look how they have this thing up. Let me feel I can put my old camera here around and get you dialed up.
Just show me them helmets behind you. I want to get
absolutely.
Oh, look at that. That's all the high schools.
That's all the local high schools here in Bakersfield here. Here's all the local high schools.
Oh, yeah, look at that. Your little Patriots, some Stallions.
Yes. Got the little, and then you come over to the other wall, money. And
what do we got?
Look at that other wall. Got at the top. Got your Bulldogs.
There's the Bulldogs. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool little spot, man. Pretty cool little spot.
Is that a little Sac State hat there or no?
Am I misreading that? No, it's not. It's just a local.
That's still high schools. I got you. It's all Bulldogs. Bulldogs at the top of the pyramid.
And it just there you go. Leads up to the top of the pyramid, man. Just like the Chargers this year. Let's get back to the top of the pyramid in AFC West.
Exactly right. Well, I don't want to keep you too long. You got your royalty there. If that's a freaking cigar shop that is paying tribute to Bulldogs, the best Bulldogs, the beasts that were Bulldogs of past, I would assume your royalty when you walk in there and there's a cigar waiting for you, whether it's a Romeo and Julieta or a Cohiba or a Davidoff.
Davidoff, look at you, money. You're on spot. We got to get us. We got to get us a cigar sponsor, money, because I love the stick every now and then.
I'll let you get the cigar sponsor. I mean, look, you're smoking a cigar. I'm drinking a Fresca. I'm like an old man right now.
Yeah, I
got my old man going. Although I guess I gave my boys over at JS a little bit of love, so there's that. So we all got our. We love things. We love to share them with you. Lo loves his cigars. If you have, what's the name of the joint again?
Mas Pinos.
Mas Pinos. All right, there we go.
Yes, absolutely.
So if you're ever up in Baco,
stop on in.
Give that a roll. I'm trying to think.
Neal spent you.
Let me see. Just click on my man Eric Smith's Keenan Cam. I'm trying to think of what else.
I think what's been a big surprise, a notably good surprise. What I was afraid to death of is losing Puna 4. Puna, and now just seeing the big man, like you said, you went out and brought it, and they're playing pretty good. I think think it's going to be deep. That defensive line, they're going to be humming.
Yeah, it's deep, and I think that's like that to me is we're trying to project the 53 with this Keenan signing and how I'm going to the Chargers depth real quick. So, like to me, when I look at that interior of the defensive line, right, you've got all these guys are going to be active on game day. You've got Deshaun Hand, Tier Tart, Tito Abonia, Naquan Jones, Jamari Caldwell. Those 5 guys are going to be active every single Sunday. Will Justin Aboigbe be in that conversation? Not sure. The edges, Thule, Khalil, Bud Dupree, and I think we're still waiting for Kyle Kennard to flash here, the 4th rounder. We have not. I have not quite seen that. I think Caleb Murphy's looked a lot better. He's a guy that was practice squad player last year for him, got elevated for a game, and had that pressure that led to the Tony Jefferson interception, and also made that special teams tackle that Kendall Williamson got the punch out in on the opening kickoff. It was Caleb that wrapped up Struhl around the ankles and sort of led to a butt fumble kind of situation where he fell right into one of his blockers, and Williamson was able to punch that thing out. So that's as big of a loss as that was. I think what did Coach Harbaugh say? He said that one's going to leave a mark, I think is what he said, or that one left a bruise, something like that. I think that the combination of Jesse Minter as the defensive coordinator and Mike Elston, the line coach, those 2 guys, man, who can they coach?
Yeah.
They can coach. And you're seeing whichever, like Tier Tart's going to take a jump this year. Just watch. Tier Tart's going to, he's so good. I mean, you remember us talking about him last year when the Dolphins released him. We were like, dude, this is the guy. Like, this is the guy that they got to go get. They went and got him, and he played great in his spot duty or in his rotation. But now as the starter, I think you're going to see he's probably the one that we're looking at to replace a lot of that production. And you just see that combination of him, Hand, and Tito. And that's 3 big. They're big, dude. They're just big guys. And it allows Dayon to fly all over that field and Derwin to fly over that field.
Yeah, I love it. What I love most, though, Money, is all the naysayers. Believe it or not, I think the Chargers had more hype last year than they did this year. It's crazy. I think with all the outsider talking head to Denver and talking about Denver and the Natty and Baltimore and the Bills, I think this is a team, and but you look at their strength of schedule. It's a barn burner. This Chargers team, they got a gauntlet, and I think that's why you don't hear as much about the Chargers because of the strength of schedule. But I think these guys are going to feed on it. And I like Harbaugh saying, who's got it better than us? Nobody, baby. Exactly. Nobody.
And I'll say this as we kind of wrap it, because, the 53 is going to start coming to focus, right? I mean, they haven't even played technically a preseason game yet. The Hall of Fame game was a 4th preseason game. They got 3 of these things to figure out. But I think with Keenan and that wide receiver room, and I don't think they're going to want to get rid of any. They're going to carry, they're probably going to carry 6 of these guys. And they love Jalen Reagor, and that would be a 7th. I don't think anyone would pluck him off the practice squad. I could be wrong. That's how they got him. They got him off the practice squad when he was waived. But I think you're probably looking at 2 quarterbacks. I think we got ourselves a legitimate quarterback competition between Heineke and Trey Lance. And I think much like the Chargers traded for Heineke last year, they sent, I think they sent out a 6th and got back a 7th is how that worked, if I remember right, or something like that. I know they sent out a 6th. But I think there could be that sort of market for him, right? Steady hand, someone that if you have aspirations of being a playoff team, if your guy goes down, I need this guy for a quarter, maybe a game. And Heineke's great on that front. And so whether it's Lance, and I only bring him up because he has less guaranteed money than Trey Lance does. Trey Lance has more guaranteed money than Heineke. So I think that is perhaps how that thing could shake out. And I think there'd be more of a market to trade for Heineke than Trey, unless Trey goes crazy again in these next couple games and the team wants to take him on. But I think you're going to probably be down to just a single backup instead of carrying 3 every game. And so, we'll get through practice this week, Lo. Yeah. We'll get through that Saints game, and next week we'll be talking more Keenan. And you know what? I'll wrap, at least my last thought. I don't know if you want to add anything, but like the one thing I'll add is when Mike Williams retired and everyone's like, what are we going to do? What is it? Amari Cooper? Is it Gabe Davis? Get Keenan Allen right now. And what did we say? We said, hey, we've seen it from this group. They're going to let the kids, they're going to let the team, their current roster, tell them whether or not they need to go get something.
Right.
And that's what we saw last year with safety.
Right.
And it's what we just saw. They gave when Mike went down first day of training camp and said, I'm retiring, they gave these guys 2 weeks.
Yep.
We're going to give you 2 weeks. Jalen Reagor, Trey Harris, Keandre Lambert-Smith. Can you show us something? And if you can show us something, then we're good.
Right.
And I think what you're seeing is them saying, okay, there's enough there to feel good about it. but we'd like that steady hand. And
And
that's
then,
why we're going to go get Keenan Allen.
I think you're spot on. Isn't it interesting with Trey Harris? You're expecting this guy to play better of course, holding out with the contract, but time that got done, everyone thought, okay, this is going to be the answer. And not saying that he won't, because this guy's young, like you're saying, but you gave him a chance to do it and it didn't. So now you got Keenan, and you'll see some of these guys even get better because of the fact the pressure is not on these young guys. And I think that's the biggest reason.
Yeah, and I think with Trey, like I don't want to come across. I'm just saying, like, look, Keandre Lambert-Smith flashed in the game. Keandre Lambert-Smith is flashed in every practice. Like, you watch him, and it's like, yes, he is. And you heard Coach Harbaugh say it. He's stacking days. Yeah. And I think what we've seen from Trey is incredible practice. Like, oh wow, there it is, man. X receiver, tracking the ball, sideline, toe tap, 40-yard gain, end zone, body control, flashing, finding the soft spot on what was a broken play, and having Herbert release that ball before he got there, knowing he was going to be there. Like, those things are there. But when your first 3 games are your 3 division opponents,
right,
it's just, let's make sure. You can't, you don't want to be starting the season 1-2, or, I mean, just God knows how you'd feel 0-3.
Right.
You want to be 2-1,
right,
3-0 in the division to get this thing rolling before you head to New York in week 4. And I think Keenan helps you accomplish that.
No question. And those 3 games, like you just alluded to, you got a chance to send a message to the league. You start off 3-0, people are gonna be like, okay, this team's gonna be all right. You start off 1-2, it ain't gonna look good. If you start off 3, because you got to. It's very easy. This team can start off 0-3. It's very there's a chance. It's some tough games. You're talking about playoff teams. So it's a way this team can start off 3-0. So you want the best, and that's what they did. Harbaugh said, hey, look, let's go out. Let's ensure that we get a veteran guy that's been in the system, a guy that's familiar with the Chargers and the quarterback that can right the ship in spite of. And that's why they went and got Keenan. And this was a good move for the Chargers and the organization.
Look, exciting day, exciting pod, celebrating number 13. Hope that he can get those 52 receptions and become, and I think it'd be sensational. He deserves it. Certainly deserves it. He's been one of the great Chargers, one of the great Charger receivers, an all-time great Charger that will end up, I Bleav, firmly in that Charger Hall of Fame. And it's great to have him back, and to be able to call, those receptions in a Charger uniform. And let's hope he gets it in the Navies. Let's hope, what would that be? I think week 13 against the Raiders, because they're wearing the yellows against the Colts. Navies will be week 8. That seems a little early for 52 receptions, but week 13 in the Navies, Keenan Allen, a Sunday contest at SoFi against the Raiders. That seems like a pretty good spot with 6 games left on the schedule to pick up reception number 52 and get it
52.
Going.
Let's get it.
Right? I think
Let's get it.
I think that's what we're talking. I feel like I'm almost positive it's 52. I just want to. Eric Smith does such a great job over at Chargers.com, and now you guys are going on this trip with me. That is probably not that important because we could all look it up. And let's see, 5 things to remember about Chargers franchise. Here we go. 904 the first 11 seasons, franchise records, most receptions, yards, Chargers wide receiver. There, 59. Oh, no, that's receiving touchdowns, 59.
Okay. Yeah.
51. There you go. 51 receptions is, so 52 is what he needs.
Yep.
I had it right.
You had it right. Money,
Khalil Mack. He needs a Khalil Mack is what we're going to get to. All right. We'll get back to that cigar. Celebrate this Keenan signing.
I will.
Big thank you to our crew. Lindsay, of course, putting this whole thing together. And Masfino for setting you up and getting you the Wi-Fi and hooking you up with that Davidoff.
Yes.
And your friend Mike, who I appreciated talking to before.
Yeah, he loves you. He loves you. He loves listening to the show. Well, let's bolt up, baby, and let's go Chargers. Let's kick this season off the right way. Let's take care of the Saints this preseason. And I like the way Harbaugh's got these guys saying, that's my way out of this thing. Is I love that Harbaugh has his team ready to play against the Saints. He's going to have these guys humming. And preseason means something to this organization. It means something to the head coach, and it means a lot to these players. So I love what they're doing preseason.
It's a good day. It's a good day to do Bleav in Chargers. Keenan Allen's a Charger again. Number 13 is going to be back out on that field. It took DJ Uiagalelei just about 5 seconds to say, here you go. Take it. I'll put on number 7. We're good. Your 13 is yours, my friend. So great to see it back out there. Can't wait to get out to practice tomorrow and see Keenan once again on the field. Going to be awesome. And I'm sure all those fans out there are going to freak out because it was not open camp today. So they're going to freak out when they see Keenan out there, and it's going to be a lot of fun to see in person. Lo, appreciate you.
No worries.
Enjoy the Masfino, and we'll be back again next week, everybody. We appreciate you. Appreciate our friends over at FanDuel as well. Thanks for watching, listening, and being part of Bleav in Chargers. We'll be back again next week.
Boat up.